All right, we are recording this session about the Waste Management District's grant opportunity that was just announced last week. My name is Karen Maynard, so I'm going to be the contact for this program, and joining me is Susan Durham, who will also, actually, I'll let you introduce your title and what you do.
Hi, I'm Susan Durham. I am a Senior Advisor for Grants and Community Partnerships at the Mayor's Office, and I am also right now our go-to person on our grants management system, which is called Unigrants.
Great. So I'm basically going to give a bit of an overview about how this came about, because this is a brand new grant opportunity. And then Susan will give a bit of an overview on the platform. So hopefully this will be some information that can be useful for you if you plan to apply. So the Waste District, this funding comes from the Waste District, and it is governed by a board. Oh, and it's called the 109 board. And the reason that I'm bringing this up is because the funding is a little different than what people think of as the city, because this is actually through, well, I'll tell you where the funding comes from on the next slide, I think. But the board is represented by 7 members. And there are some rules about what they represent to make sure that it represents the entire Jefferson County. And you can see that listed there. There's 3 districts plus the Urban Services District, home rule cities, excuse me, someone representing the largest organization of waste industry businesses, and then a resident of the county who does not reside in the city or the urban services district. And then there's an advisory committee that helps direct the kind of does some research and some work for the 109 board. And that is a group of 15 members that represent the industry, environmental groups, home rule cities, metro government, as well as citizens. So, so that's kind of who the people are. And this has a little bit of a chart so that you can see the Kentucky Revised Statutes 109 and 67 basically has whenever the merger happened, I guess the Chapter 51 was created. It's a non-taxing district. There's an executive director who acts as a liaison between the Waste Management District and Louisville Metro government. And there's a memorandum of agreement between the two. So if you look at the list on the left, this is the Waste District 109 board plus the advisory committee. And it shows there that they're funded through license fees, the sale of recyclables, and grants. And then a listing of all the major functions of the board. And then on the other side is the Department of Public Works Solid Waste Management Services, which the funding comes from taxes in the general fund. And then it lists there the major functions of that. So my job as solid waste education manager actually falls under the district side as far as the work. So we do education for the entire county and outreach programs and things like that. And so it kind of just falls under me as far as trying out this this grant opportunity. I also help manage the advisory committee meetings. So as listed on our website for the grant, the mission of the district is to develop and implement strategies, policies, and programs that will meet or exceed goals set in the Solid Waste Management 5-year plan. So the plan we are in right now is from 2023 to 2027. So we're right in the middle of that 5-year plan. And then that is linked on the grant website. So you can see, and I have another slide with some major themes within it. So applying for this grant means that you would, your project would have to fall under this mission, as well as the themes of the plan. Another part of the mission is to create an awareness and commitment to waste reduction, reuse, and recycling, minimize adverse effects of solid waste on public health, safety, and the environment, and then provide an efficient and cost-effective solid waste and recycling collection system for Louisville. So, and then this is also listed on the grant website, but along with a link so you can read in depth the specific actions within our 5-year solid waste management plan. But the board really is working toward those specific actions. And then I've just summarized those actions with these themes as a way to help you determine if your project idea fits under these. So I won't read all of these, but it's mostly about outreach, providing toolkits, assistance programs for understanding how best to manage waste, improvements for any kind of end use of a material, maybe even prepare for something new, like the EV batteries is something new that we're encountering. Drop-off sites, illegal dumping, education and outreach, and anything related to reducing litter. So I just wanted to reiterate the grant timeline. August 1st, it will officially be available to apply for starting at midnight, and the deadline is August 28th at 4 p.m. We do have that set as a time, not midnight again or 11:59. We have it earlier in the day so that if there's any last minute, if you encounter any issues or have any last minute questions, that we're actually in the office to help with that. And the week of September 22nd, if we choose to offer interviews or follow-up communication before making our official decision, that's the week we'll plan to do that. And then by October 10th, all applicants would be notified. And then November 3rd is the deadline to officially accept this grant and sign the grant agreement so that we can get the funds dispersed. The board for this year, it's the first time we've ever offered this, has offered $50,000 total. So depending on what kinds of applications we get, it might go to a project that's requesting all $50,000, or it might go to multiple projects that add up to the $50,000. So we just have to wait and see what kind of projects come about. And lastly is the disbursement of funds. So if we end up giving out smaller amounts, the $5,000, that's the minimum, by the way, to the $24,999, you would get one disbursement total. And then we would just need reports, activity reports and budget reports twice. So it's throughout the year, biannual reports of what's going on with the project. And then if the award amount is $25,000 to $50,000, we plan to do 2 equal disbursements, unless based on the type of project you have, if you require more than that on the outset to get going, we can adjust that as needed with the district's approval. And then the biannual reports would be the same, but you would get the next, if you're able to do 2 equal disbursements, then your second one would come after that report in February. So that's all I was kind of going over. So now I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and I'll let Susan give us a bit of an overview on the platform.
Great, thanks, Karen. So Karen is going to publish what's called a solicitation to this grant program. And the solicitation contains all the information you need to know in order to decide whether this is an appropriate grant opportunity for you. It'll cover eligibility, eligible cost, the financial information that Karen just shared, and other things. And it also contains a guide that you can download for our UniGrants system. I'm going to show you a few key parts of that guide. I suggest as you are working on your application, you use that guide. You might want to read through relevant parts before you start your application. Let me share my screen real quick. So this is what the guide looks like. I'm not going to take you page by page, but I do want to let you know that at the beginning is a page for support, and it includes an email address that you would reach out to if you experience any technical problems. Hopefully you won't. The UniGrants portal is really easy to use, but of course technical problems may occur. It's best if you do experience a technical problem that you include in your email as much information as possible, including screenshots of the problem. You want to register in the site. It's called UniPortal, and here is the address to the site. That address, again, is in this guide that you'll download from the solicitation. This works just like any web page that you sign up for. You create an account, put in some basic information, you'll get an email, and you'll finalize that registration. It just takes a couple of minutes. I do want to let folks know, though, that UniGrants is in the process of undergoing a rebranding. Up until about a month ago, they were called eCivis. Right now, the emails are still coming from eCivis. So if you register your account and you don't get an email, check your spam folder, check your firewall to find that email. But again, it'll say eCivis rather than UniGrants right now. We're hopeful the full rebranding will be done in about another month. So this section walks you through registration. Then it's going to walk you through the different parts of the solicitation. As I said, it tells you everything you need to know to make a decision about applying, and then overview, eligibility, financial information, contact information, and files, including the file of this guide. What's incredibly important on the solicitation, and if you go to it today, you will not see this because it will not be there until the grant applications open, is this apply button that's right below Metro Government seal. You will click that apply button to start the application process. You will then go into your UniGrants portal account, and you'll see the application is then available in your portal account. Until you click this, you will not see the grant opportunity in the portal. The next thing is this walks you through what I just told you about hitting apply, creating a new application in the portal, and you can add team members to your application if you need several people working on the same application in the portal. This tells you how to add them. It's very easy. It's just sending an email invitation. One very important thing is if you send an email request for them to join your application, whoever that is needs to register in the portal using the same email address that you entered. It cannot be a different email address or else they won't be connected. The next section, it takes you through the application components. This is not the same component setup that the Waste District has, but it's very similar. You'll go in, you'll see the team members, you'll see what I call a bucket, which is the whole application itself. It tells you what the status of the application is. And then anything below that are the forms that you have to fill out. For this grant, there is a form that gives you instructions to complete the whole process, which is great. So you can click on that and read through the instructions. But there are going to be a couple of forms where you type information. there's going to be a budget form, which you must complete. And then there's a goals form that is hardwired into the application. We cannot remove it, but you do not need to do anything. You're welcome to click on it, but there's nothing for you to complete. So you'll do the forms that are listed here and the budget. And I'm just going to quickly go to the budget section. Let me tell you first that completing the application form, we've given really good instructions on how to do that, how to mark them as complete. I strongly suggest that when you complete the budget form, you use these instructions. There are things such as you have to click on line items and open tables to enter your information. And just looking at the page online, I'm not sure if I would figure that out myself. The guide is going to be very helpful for you to complete it. It's not difficult by any means. It just doesn't really stand out what your first steps should be. I do want to mention as a last thing that the budget that you enter must be the same amount that you're requesting from Metro government. If your if your project is $100,000 and you're requesting $40,000 from this grant program, your budget in the system needs to be $40,000. I hope this has been helpful. Read through the whole guide and reach out if you have any questions about using the system.
All right, thank you very much. And yep, we're here if anyone has any further questions. Thank you very much.